Riv stateside for an interview with CLG's man in the top lane.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am joined by Darshan after helping carry that game a little bit longer. I mean, last game of the split, longest one we had. Obviously, you guys just don't want to go home yet. But again, tell me, what was it like? Because you said when you came up, that was a crazy game.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you just feel completely drained, like emotionally and mentally. Like we went to 70 minutes when we had such a huge lead mid-game after we kind of threw it a couple times, and we're just kind of like rusty right now, like having not played with Stixay. So we definitely need to clean that up for playoffs, but it definitely feels good to win one of those games because if you lose a 70-minute game, you just feel so crushed.
Yeah, and once you guys had that spot locked in, there obviously is a little bit of pressure taken off, but you still want to place well. What was kind of the way to right the ship and figure out how to fix things when we knew Stixay was going to be out? Did you guys kind of stress about it, or did you say, this might be a loss for us, let's not worry about it?
Yeah, so I kind of like woke up yesterday and was like, oh, we don't have Stixay. He's in the hospital, and I was like, oh, I hope he's doing well. It turns out he was doing fine, but then we were playing with somebody we've never played with before who doesn't play AD carry, so we kind of had to switch Afro to AD carry, and that kind of put us in a situation where we haven't really practiced at all. So we kind of have to accept that and go with the flow and kind of play knowing that it's going to be really hard, that we can win. And we did get crushed 2-0, but it was still awesome to be able to have the opportunity to still play on stage, even though we couldn't use Stixay, and I'm glad that Joey got the chance to play in LCS as well.
Absolutely. We even saw that you guys got to kind of right the ship there with this victory, didn't let it ruin your mentality. I have to ask you, coming through this split, placing fourth again here at the end, as you did in summer, what kind of was the turnaround? What did CLG find that you guys could lock onto and get back to your performance?
I just feel like towards the end of the split, our play starts tightening up more. We kind of figure out the meta more, and we kind of fix all our issues, and we just like, get cleaner and cleaner as it gets to playoffs. So I think that's just what happens every split with us, and at playoffs is where we're really looking to like show we're the best team in NA. So I'm really excited for like the 2 weeks we have to practice to get ready.
Awesome. Final question for you, that 2 weeks of practice, FlyQuest versus CLG. How are you feeling about the matchup?
Ooh, that's a really exciting one because you really have no idea what FlyQuest is going to play, you know, from Mordekaiser AD carry to Maokai support to Jarvan mid. Like, they bust out some crazy stuff, and they all listen to high, so they're a pretty coordinated team. So it's going to be a really fun, interesting series, and I'm excited to just see what crazy picks they have in store.
All right, Sean, thanks to both teams for the longest one to end that out. Congratulations on the win and the fourth place finish going into playoffs. We're going to throw it to the analyst desk to break down the rest of the day.
Thank you very much. What a way to end the regular season, right? A 70-minute game.
It's been a crazy split all year long, and it's like, hey, let's just end it in the most ridiculous way we can with a game like that.
Goodness, that was, I mean, hey, there was a lot of excitement in that game, and for CLG, what a relief to secure the fourth place slot. And that's the thing. There was actually a fair amount riding on this in terms of positioning, right? If you're sixth, you're playing Phoenix 1. And then if you are lucky enough to win that game, you're playing TSM in the next round because of dynamic seeding. So getting this fourth seed here, your matchup against FlyQuest for the first round of the playoffs, they'll be very happy to have locked that in.
Right. I mean, if you look back at your season at the end of the year, this is probably going to be a really important win that they actually pick up. It might help them go a little bit further in the playoffs, and like obviously that's going to play into Worlds and all that stuff. So really important there. And I think when you look at how the game actually played out, it's not a game you actually want to look back on. As a coach, as a player, this is usually like, we got it, great, get out of here, because obviously you made mistakes, and normally you want to look at mistakes to break it down, but in a game like that, you let it go.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, you know, at the end of the day, we have to remember that CLG had lost scrim time, practice time with Stixay, as well as even game time yesterday, as we saw, you know, ending up in a loss, which is what required them to win here today. So working through a whole lot of issues, hopefully if that's all out of the way, they can now look forward to playoffs with this time that they have between now and then, and really start to get things working in practice and more back to what we're used to in terms of cleanliness.
Right, and I think you can see, at least in this game, they still play a lot like CLG would. You know, they have the 1-3-1 comp. They're playing it pretty well. A little over-aggressive at times, dying in the jungle at different points. They did throw the game a little bit back. They found a great pick around the Baron pit eventually to get back in their control before the game, you know, ended up in that huge slowed down end game where it's just taking inhibitors after, you know, 30 minutes finally you win the game.
Absolutely. And while we're talking all about CLG, we have to recognize the effort put forth by EnVy there at the end of the season, knowing that they're already locked in for promotion tournament. I love that fight. I mean, I love the fight out of those guys. Apollo, 6-item Caitlyn almost pulls it off. We had Lyra going big all season long. So for those guys, you know, again, I think when we talk about, although they're the 10th place team, their ability to contest even the #1 team in the league should be a huge boon or boost in confidence when it comes towards that promotion tournament and how confidently they enter next week.
For sure. I mean, you saw TSM go to a 3-game series, C9 go to a 3-game series, CLG go to a 3-game series against EnVy. This is not a team.
That's 3 of the top 4 right there.
Yeah, that's not an easy team to beat, clearly. And if you're looking at this as a potential promotion team, look at this game. It went on forever. EnVy will not lose quietly. So you have your work cut out for you in a best-of-5 versus EnVy. These guys are scrappy.
Absolutely. Player of the game this time around going to Huhi. This was not an easy decision to make, only because, as Darshan mentioned, had a solid lead. Pretty much everyone played some role in throwing the lead back. But then when it comes down to the final fight, Huhi gets the crucial assassination on one of the 2 main DPS in the Cassiopeia Ninja playing that one. And so really, we're going to throw it to him for the play on the Echo.
Yeah, any 70-minute game, I doubt you played perfectly. There's going to be things to pick at, but he did have a pretty good early game. He was a part of the throw, sure, but he was also a part of clinching the game back.
All right, well, there we have it. The standings are finalized. Let's wrap up our week, though, with a look at who racked up the most Player of the Game awards. Impact, Haunter, Jensen all made it a close race, but it was Dardoch who walks away with 12 Player of the Games, the most of any player in the regular season. Now remember, those merits will factor in to who is crowned MVP at the end of the split. Do you find that surprising at all? I mean, we always talk about him as he's the playmaker who's either going to win or lose you the game, so to a degree it makes sense. But for a team that didn't even qualify for the playoffs, it almost seems unusual that a player on that team would be.
Yeah, you saw like right after him, it was a bunch of the other top teams, so it was no surprise there. It was like Haunter, Jensen, Impact. So you kind of see that. Aside for him, you could say he's out of place in a sense, but he is such an explosive player that when he goes off and wins the game, it's like, who else could you possibly give it to when he's winning games?
I was about to say, the argument there is that it makes the case for the fact that he's is the MVP of that team, right? The most important player to that team and their success, whereas Cloud9, they could win through contracts, they can win through Jensen, they can win through Impact, so it makes sense that they have a more, even distribution of Player of the Games on those top-tier squads.
Right, and missing the playoffs is not like a shame at all this split. When it was so close, came down to the final day between 3 teams fighting for 2 spots. So it's not like, oh, they weren't close to a playoff team, Dardoch's got a bunch of awards somehow. It's like, no, this team almost made it to the playoffs, and he was a huge factor in why that was the case.
Speaking of the playoffs, let's go ahead and pull up the standings one last time, see how the teams actually ended the regular split. TSM are once again attending playoffs in first place, while Cloud9 nabs a playoff bye at second. In the wake of their win, CLG go into the postseason in 4th place, while Immortals just barely miss in that 7th place slot. Team Liquid's loss puts them in the promotion tournament at 9th, alongside 10th place Team EnVy. And with that, we can see what our playoff picture finally looks like. Our first round of the playoffs pits Phoenix 1 versus Team Dignitas, while CLG faces FlyQuest for a chance to go to Vancouver. Of course, due to dynamic seeding, the lowest seed going into the semifinals will face TSM, while the highest seed quarterfinal winner will go against Cloud9. Now, before the playoffs, we have the 2017 Summer Promotion Tournament, starting at 3 p.m. this Friday. Team Liquid fight to make it back into the NA LCS against E United on NA LCS 1, while Goldcoin United and Team EnVy duke it out for a chance in the 2017 Summer Split. Whew!
You okay?
I got it all out.
Yeah, you got more. No, you got more coming.
Breathing. Well, I wanted to take a quick break. I wanted to take a quick pause because as we reference that Summer Promotion Tournament, and you're one of the people who's been most closely following those challenger squads. Again, we just spoke about the power level of our 9th and 10th place teams. What are your preliminary thoughts of those matchups going into this week in the promotion tournament?
Well, both teams do play very jungle mid-centric, though they're 2 different styles of it.
Both challenger teams.
Yeah, both challenger teams. Goldcoin United and E United both play very mid-jungle centric. Okay. E United, extremely aggressive, forcing plays around there all the time. Goldcoin United, a lot more slow, steady. They want to grind you out. So it's 2 different styles, and I think you can see how important jungle synergy is for EnVy and Team Liquid as well. Rainover and Lyra are the 2 big linchpins for both those teams. So I actually think you have a very interesting tournament coming up where a lot of it will be focused on junglers and how they're able to perform.
Sweet. Of course, if you can't wait that long for League of Legends action, be sure to tune in tomorrow when the University of Maryland takes on the University of Illinois live at the Big Ten Network Finals at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. The winner of the match earns a spot in the League of Legends College Championship this May, so you're not going to want to miss it. Once again, you're involved with this.
If anything's happening in North America, I'm there.
So lay it on me. with those two teams, what's the need to know, or do you have any kind of expectations coming in?
University of Maryland is actually a very interesting team because they had been playing together since high school, all ended up going to the same college, and they dominated the high school leagues. So they have a very cool kind of background where it's these guys who have been friends almost since high school, and they've kind of been dominating the collegiate scene for a lot of their time in there.
Super cool. All right, well, again, that takes place tomorrow, so be sure to tune in. For more in-depth league discussion, though, stick around for NA LCS tonight after the show, where Pastry, Zyrene, and Kobe will recap the weekend and look forward to the spring playoffs. Now, for myself, the cast, and the entire live broadcast crew, though, thank you for watching, and we'll see you for playoffs. Good night.